Well, good morning, everybody. It is a Monday, and it's jumping off to be a busy day, busy week already. I got a lot of things I've got to deal with here this morning, so it is something else, as they say. But it's November 1st, and we're jumping off a new month on 3 weeks and a day from my birthday, which is always fun for me, but it gets a little depressing as the years start to get, those numbers get bigger every year. Have you ever noticed that? But today we are in John's Gospel. We're in chapter 8. We are going to look at verses 12 to 20. We are going to, in the beginning of chapter 7, we began with the festival of the booths, the Sukkot, the harvest festival, and it's believed that this is the end of it now, at the ending of it. And during that festival, they would light these huge candelabra type things in the temple that were supposedly the light would light up the city. Now that's probably a bit of an exaggeration because they wouldn't have been using gas or perhaps gas. I'm not sure that they had gas plumbing in there. Most likely it was just pitch. But at any rate, they had these huge torches burning during this festival, and at the end of the festival they would extinguish those torches. Those torches were to represent the pillar of fire leading the Israelites through the desert and lighting their way, so that they could see in the darkness. And that's brought up in these verses here. So we are looking at Jesus, the light of the world, is what the NRSV calls this section, and it's verses 12 to 20 in chapter 8 of John's Gospel. So let's jump right into it, shall we? Because it's a busy week, as I mentioned. Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Then the Pharisees said to him, You are testifying on your own behalf. Your testimony is not valid. Jesus answered, Even if I testify on my own behalf, my testimony is valid because I know where I have come from and where I am going. But you do not know where I come from or where I am going. You judge by human standards. I judge no one. Yet even if I do judge, my judgment is valid, for it is not I alone who judge, but I and the Father who sent me. If your law is written that the testimony of two witnesses is valid, I testify on my own behalf, and the Father who sent me testifies on my behalf. Then they said to him, Where is your Father? Jesus answered, You know neither me nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father also. He spoke these words while he was teaching in the treasury of the temple. But no one arrested him because his hour had not yet come. Okay, first of all, this is another one of the I am statements. We had one of those back in chapter 6, and now I am the light of the world is what he's doing now. When we get to the end of the I am statements, I think I'll go back and recapitulate all of them. But I am the light of the world. And again, remember, it tells us right here he's teaching in the temple. It's believed this is the end of this ceremony when they would be extinguishing these monstrous lights. And as that light goes out, and the symbol of the pillar of light leading them in a proverbial darkness, he's proclaiming that these earthly lights, these things that are a representation of the heavenly light, may be going out, but that heavenly light is still here. That light is, I am the light of the world. That's me. You don't need to worry. They, of course, curse him or confront him about, who is testifying to this, who is validating on his part. And he says, my testimony for myself is valid, and my Father testifies for me. You needed two witnesses in their legal system. He's saying you got two. But the big point of this isn't so much that, I don't think. It's more that about the light. And we look at light, in our modern age, we suddenly are shaken to our core when the lights go out, aren't we? When the electricity goes out and we don't have those ceiling lights. We're not used to what the people in that day and age, and throughout almost the entirety of human history, only in the last 100 plus years, not even 100 plus years, were there any substantial amount of light. And in this part of the world, I'm not sure the parsonage is 100 years old. I don't know if it had lights in it when it was built or not. That's a good question. I can't ask Jim that now, can I? I think it still has some knob and tube actually in that old house, up in the attic. But And this church is 94, the building is 94 years old, and there was lights in it when it was built. But it wasn't much before that. We didn't have electric lights in this part of the world. And so those people experienced darkness like we don't have an acquaintance with it, and how terrifying it can be, and how disorienting it can be. They had these measly little, a lantern or something like that. We today, if we go out in the dark, we can take our cars with our big, especially these modern headlights that just light up the whole, prairie, which I don't like those lights because they're hard on my old eyes. But we have LED lights that just light up the whole landscape, and so we can see that. But we're not familiar with this fear that comes with not knowing what's going on around us, and hearing these sounds in the darkness, and the comfort of knowing that we have the light of the world. We have God with us, that no matter what's going on out there where we can't see, because metaphorically there's so much going on, and not literally, actually, not just metaphorically, going on out in the periphery that we don't understand, we don't see. Even in broad daylight, we don't see it, folks. We don't understand what's going on. The light is not necessarily an actual physical light beam. It is the idea of illuminating what's going on around us and being able to see clearly the motivations of others and those types of things. So there's a great depth to this. Theologically, there's a great depth to this, a great meaning to this. And it is a reference back to that pillar of fire guiding the Israelites in the desert as they were wandering around for 40 years with Moses. That very much hearkening back to that. But today, even in this world where we have our electric lights, we still have fear, because even though we can see in the dark, we can't see in the dark. We don't see the darkness in others sometimes. We need to have that light of God to get us through this world, this crazy, crazy world. The world is becoming more and more crazy. We need to cling to the light. And praise God that in verse 12 he tells us, I am the light of the world. And if you follow him, you will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Praise be to God. And I'm going to end it there. I'm going to let you go till tomorrow, and we will pick up in verse 21. All right? Have a very blessed day, and please, please, please be a blessing to someone today. Tell them about the light of Jesus, okay? Please do. I mean it, do. Bye-bye.